This one's gonna be a short one. I mean, I say that every time, and then we talk for fucking infinite time. But really, it's late. It's kind of ominous outside. I'm getting a little nervous. You know, it's real dark out here. Not like there's tons of clouds out. It's one of those nights you get a little spooked out. But I just want to say, hey, bro, my channel's been going fucking nuts. And I know this isn't about analytics. That's what my life's about and all that shit. But bro, the amount of love I'm receiving is fucking nuts. Like wonderful, lovely comments. People are being wonderful. Like I'm building the community that I wanted, bro. I was so scared that if I posted, like, I would have comments being like, "Shut the fuck up, you don't know what you're like," that type of shit, right? Like, or like, you know, just being an asshole to me. But everyone's been so nice. It's amazing. And yeah, bro, thank you, bro. We're gonna get to 100 subscribers soon. It's gonna be awesome. And let me think what else I had to talk about. Oh, bro, you guys, once again, this is just proof that this shit. They're not even playing. They're not even like trying to fake how rigged this shit is. So yesterday, I think last night's game, James Harden, basketball player James Harden, his money line, or like his play, like on the playbooks, on the sports books, was over under 25.5 points, right? He got 20 points in the first half and got 0 points in the second half. This is what I'm talking about, bro. Literally just watch any sports game. Watch any sports game. Look at the money line. Look at the sports book. Like, I think Patrick Mahomes had let's just say it was like needed 200 yards of passing, and he got like 199. It's always some shit like that. Like, it's some shit like that. Anyways, what else I had to talk about? I had a good therapy session today. I don't really want to talk about it, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about it a little bit. So I guess my whole life, or since I've been in therapy, I've never really, especially I've never really brought up, even with my new therapist, like when my therapist was Sarah, I've had for the last over a year and a half, who's the most competent I've ever had, who's my favorite. I never really talked about my grandparents, right? And all that shit, which is where this all started. Like, I was really kind of a strange child, but that's where really what I remember my college essay I wrote. This was the trigger that pulled the gun of my, this was the trigger that pulled like the bullet of depression, right? Like, whatever it is, whatever the saying is, right? And bro, I just seen some dude staring at me in their window. What the fuck? Anyways, I've just never brought it up because in my head I'm like, I don't remember it. Like when you have trauma, things that just go away, right? Or not go away, you just, amnesia the fuck out of it. And like, I don't know, for some reason I just never brought it up, my sister, she just started therapy. She's never been in therapy her whole life. And she's like, man, I see that the root of all roads lead to our grandparents, like my trauma and stuff like that. And we dealt with it differently, right? And so I brought that up in therapy today. And, we talk. She's like, yeah, you never really talk about that. It's like, she's like, well, like, why are you detached from that? Yeah. And then I said something like, well, like, I don't know. I don't really talk about it. I mean, over the weekend, I had that video where I went through and I was reminded all this shit, and it brought up a lot. And I told her, I was like, well, when this was all happening, when both my grandparents were in the hospital for 2 years, I never visited. Not one. I visited one time, and then never again. I never visited, and I was like, I feel like extreme guilt from that. And she was like, "You've never told me that." And I was like, "Yeah, I've never went to go visit. My sister and my parents would go every single week. They go. My sister would go after school by herself. I never went, and that's why and she's like, where do you think, do you think you feel guilty for that?" And I was like, oh yeah, the guilt and shame from that, I think, is eating me. That's probably, now that you pointed out, I think that's the center of a lot of my guilt and shame. It's not just that I never visited them. It's just everything surrounding that time period. Because during that time, I lost my faith. I had my first breakup. In my whole first relationship, there was a ton of guilt related to that, because I was just dealing with so much trauma, and I treated her terribly, and I also wasn't a self-aware person, and I had so much issues and trauma And like, I don't know, I just had issues. I didn't know how to articulate my feelings. And like, no, we were off and on for a couple of years, but I think I traumatized her. I mean, I destroyed her. And I made a vow to like never treat someone that poorly, like to never treat another woman like that ever again. Like, I made a vow, and I was single for 3 years trying to work on myself, and like, and you know, and there's just a lot of guilt. There's a lot of guilt from that, but there's a lot of guilt from my grandpa. But all this happened at the same time. And also, like, a ton of internalized racism. Like, I remember my grandparents were the most wonderful people, but they weren't like, I mean, they could speak English, but they weren't like native English. They're from Puerto Rico. And I would get so embarrassed to like be in public with them. I would get so embarrassed to like for them to pick me up from school. I would be like, you know, and like, you know, growing up, my friends would always make like some, you know, racist jokes about me being Mexican and all this type of shit. And like, you know, and they would be like, it would say stuff whole time. Meanwhile, my grandparents in the hospital. Like I just was really, I don't know, had a lot of, I was just ashamed of that whole part, the whole side of me, that culture, all of it. And she just kept trying to prod my therapist. I was like, yeah, we're gonna keep all that in a box. She's like, but I want to open it. I was like, nah. Maybe when I get from vacation, but no. And but it's there's a lot there, dude. There's like 10 different million things clustered into this one. During my sorry, I keep on my phone down, bro. People keep staring at me. But during my you know, my developmental years, during my adolescence, like during the time where you find your identity, like I was just dealing with like a fucking shit ton of stuff, and just like and yeah, like, and I feel tons of guilt because I see how my sister has been destroyed because she would go all the time to see my grandparents, and then she ran away. She went to Cornell. She went across the country to like kind of get away from all this, and then she dealt with all this on her own out there. You know, meanwhile, I'm back at home trying to deal with my grieving mother, but I'm like trying to grieve, but I'm fucked. I'm like avoidant. My dad's taking care of my mom, and then my aunt killed herself, and then during the same time, grandparents died, aunt killed herself, cousin tried to kill my dad, lost my faith, had this breakup, like was just in isolation, just like being depressed all the time, like was sitting, like I remember in high school, like for like I would just be at I would go find a spot to be by myself, and my girlfriend would find me every now and then, and I would treat her poorly, but like I didn't. It was a tough thing to deal with, bro. It was a tough thing to do, and you know, then quickly after that, I started my addiction, and that's not like coincidental. And so then my therapist is asking me like, why do you feel like, why are you so detached from this trauma? And I just couldn't explain. I was like, because I don't remember it, because I went and I instantly coped. Like I was just, I didn't have the skills that I didn't know how to articulate myself like this. This process of being able to articulate myself or being self-aware, that didn't start happening till 2020 during COVID, when I had some sort of spiritual enlightenment, my initial spiritual awakening, which then turned into spiritual psychosis. But that's besides the point. Like, and I was like, dude, I've been avoidant of this. And so, interestingly enough, me and my sister, all roads lead to Rome, but all roads lead to this initial trauma. And you know, my therapist knows how I was like, how do I deal with it? Like, how do you want me to confront this? And she's like, I'm worried. I handle the how. You need to tell me, are you ready to do it? And I wasn't today. I was like, fuck that, bro. I'm in vacation mode. I'll do it when I get back. And I think about, you know, the people in my life. I've had a lot of friends. I've met a lot of people, but there's only a handful that I know that are broken. And I know that have dealt with shit. My therapist included is one of them. And Jamil's one of them for sure, bro. If y'all knew what the fuck that guy's been through, bro. That guy's been through infinite trauma, bro. Like, that guy's been through probably shit worse than mine. I mean, it's not about comparison, but like my boy Jamil, my best friend, bro. I know he knows what it's like, bro. The broken heel. And I don't know. And Julianne's been through some shit. Like I don't know. That's what my friend group is essentially non-existent. Like everyone's gone, because I mean, when you've been fucked up so much and you've been traumatized, it's very hard to relate to anyone that you can like that hasn't, or that hasn't put in work, or that hasn't, like, I don't know. You can see it in people's eyes, bro. You can hear it the way they talk. And yeah, so it's interesting, this initial trauma. I need to open up this box again, but I kept telling my therapist, I was like, bro, I'll unwrap the box, I'll take the lid off, but I'm giving it to you. I don't want it. She's like, that's not how that works. But I don't, like, and I told her, I was like, I'm scared, because right now I'm in uncharted territory. That's what I've asked God to put me in. You know what's interesting about that? Like I'm exactly where I've asked God to put me in the unknown. I'm in territory I've never explored before. And sorry it keeps cutting. It's because I'm doing this on Snapchat so I can have the light. But I'm in uncharted territory right now. Like, and I told my therapist, like, I'm scared. I hate feeling this, because more days than not, right at this moment, the darkness is calling me more days than not. Like me having to look at the trauma, me having to look at the void and it stare back at me. It's right there, bro. I keep trying to keep it at arm's distance, but it's right there, and it's scary, bro. It's freaking me out, because I don't, like, I can sit here, and I was like telling my therapist, I was like, I can sit here and tell you, like, nothing, I will never, like, do anything to myself, right? But at this point, I don't know, because I'm in uncharted territory. I told myself I would never call the hotline, and I did, like 2 weeks ago, right? So who's to say I'm not gonna, like, do anything, right? And, like, my birthday is coming up, and I'll be in Malaysia, and I won't be with Julianne, and, like, I'm kind of terrified, because I don't know, I'm just terrified. Sorry, I keep doing that. I'm terrified because birthdays are really hard for me. Birthdays are really fucking hard for me. I mean, yeah, I don't really want to talk about, but you know, I was like, this is my fear. I was like, you know, I'm like telling my therapist, like, we're opening up this box, and, like, the journey towards heaven feels like hell, but the issue in the journey towards growth feels like shit. But the issue is I don't like to sit in this for too long, because it's scary, bro. The thoughts I start having are fucking scary, and I'm starting to have thoughts I've never had before, right? And, like, I'm getting terrified. And she was just like, dude, I never, like, you're okay. I've met very few people that are willing to sit in this, to sit in your feelings. And she's like, you just don't give yourself enough credit. And you know what's interesting about that? Because I've never thought of myself as someone that sits with shit. Because, like, obviously, I was in active addiction and stuff like that, which is the complete opposite of sitting with your shit. But she was like, dude, like, you hold on to a lot, but you're sitting with this right now. And I was like, dude, but if I sit any longer, I don't know I'm scared of myself. I'm scared of what the voices will, you know, I'm not schizo, right? But like, you know what I mean? Like, in a more metaphorical sense, like, what will the bug of depression try to convince me of? Will try to convince me, like, what will this, you know, if you can think of this as spiritual warfare, like, what will the demon try to get me to do to myself, right? Like, I'm getting nervous. But I have two options. Either I sit with this, I fucking handle it, I open the box of my trauma, I look inside, I give it a hug, I process it, I love it, or I forever am stuck in turmoil, and I keep playing this game. The game ends when I want it to end. The game ends when I'm willing to confront all this shit. So anyways, that's all I gotta say. I told you I was gonna make it quick and I talked forever, but guys, girls, gays, queer, they, them,